Yes, it's not confidential in this room because it's being recorded. That's for you, people who bought it, and potentially other people. However, if we go into breakout rooms, it is confidential. So that what you say in the breakout rooms, which there will be time for, will be completely confidential. Do not say that back in the main room, which is being recorded. So there's that. We will be looking at purpose, your life purpose, how close to you are to an aligned life purpose. On a scale of 1 to 10, please hold up fingers. 10 being I wake up and there's a real, very strong sense that I'm totally aligned with my life purpose. Actually, I don't know why I'm on this course. I don't need to be here. Okay, 0 being I have no idea what my life purpose is. 5 might be, well, I kind of know the area, but I'm not really doing it. 7 might be I'm doing it, but not quite what I want. 9 might be, well, I'm really doing it, but I've got a bit lost lately. I'm often a 9, by the way, not a 10. Yeah, right now I think I'm a 9.5, but often I get a drop down to an 8 or 9 and I have to sort of re-engage with the stuff we're doing. That's a natural process because your purpose may change. Yeah. So hold up fingers. It's really helpful if your camera's on, obviously, for today. You don't have to, but it's helpful. I'm a 9.5. I'm doing pretty well on this at the moment. It's one reason I decided to keep them there because I'm genuinely interested. So you've got a 4. You don't have to be British. If it's a 1, that's fine. If it's a 9, someone's a 10. Why are you here, Robert? If it's a 10, that's okay. I mean, you can sort of firm it up for later, maybe. But okay.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry. I was just.
You're just holding up hands. Okay. It was life purpose. 0 being no idea what I'm doing with my life. 10 totally aligned, completely on purpose. 5. Okay. So most of us, including myself, one thing I like about teaching this work, and I've been teaching it for fairly seriously for about 5 years. I run a course called Purpose Black Belt online for a couple of years. That shifted and I started, in fact, doing more mentoring with graduates from our Embodied Facilitator course, which really took over from that. I decided I want to work more intensely with people that already knew basics with me. I'm coaching lots of people on this for a few years and recently decided that it's sort of come to the fore. So what I've seen with COVID is a sort of collective death meditation. Some of you may have done the death meditation homework. Give me a wave if you did. Get that email. Some of you know, most of you. Okay, great. No, don't worry if you didn't. It's time to die, yeah. And that has given people this reassessment of meaning. There's like, shit, if we're all going to die. Oh my God, it's really obvious we're going to die. We keep getting reminded of that. Like, what am I doing with my life, right? Like that. And I thought, now is the perfect time to redo some more of this work, to make it available online in this format. So this is a boot camp. What does that mean? It means it's going to be pretty intense. So we have 3 hours together until 9 o'clock UK time, 10 o'clock CET. I'm going to start relatively gently. Then it's going to get full on. And I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to get really quite full on, very likely. I expect there to be tears and emotional responses of different kinds. And that is what's in store. If you are feeling vulnerable, if you are, many of us are just having a really rough time right now, right? Like in some ways it's the worst possible time to do a purpose bootcamp in that this is going to be confronting. This is not a yoga holiday. So if you're not up for that, I really recommend, no, don't smile and laugh. It's going to be full on. Like, I'm not joking. Who's trained with me before? Please tell these people I'm not joking. There's a way in which I can go to intensities. So, genuinely, please to look after yourself. Leave now or in the next 20 minutes, because we'll be going into the depths, before it brutalizes you. And I really mean that, because I can't do intense work if there's 1 or 2 people here who are really struggling emotionally and they're just no fault of your own. It's a difficult time. You can always watch the recording. You can always save it for another time. Please, though, if you're here, do not leave without sending me a message. Makes sense? So if it's getting too much and you decide it's not for you, that's fine. Send me a message. Just tell me what's going on. And then I know you're okay, because I can't run after you. Normally what I would do in a training is I'd have an assistant. If you run out of the room, they would go and check you're okay. Can't do that online. Yeah. And also my intention is to sort of put you back together again by 9 p.m. So should you, have a children to look after and you've only got childcare until 9:15, then yeah, please do. And also don't leave in the middle. Is anyone that can't stay until 9? It's probably best to watch the recording if you can't stay to the end, just because there is a process we're going through. Is this kind of making sense? So I can, it's not kind for me to do intense work if you're in a super vulnerable state or even just feeling a bit wobbly. So you've got about 20 minutes to decide if that's you, and then you can always watch the recording, no problem. And if you want, you can come free to another live one in the future. I don't mind. We'll be doing these fairly regularly, I think, now. Okay, other ground rules. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Really, genuinely, if there's an exercise that isn't for you, you're welcome to skip an exercise. Yeah, that is totally okay. You are free human beings throughout. I think that's about it for ground rules. Please keep yourself muted. If you want to unmute yourself, please do. Please don't send messages to each other in the chat. It just kind of is distracting. And obviously, don't be doing your emails. I have been on a remarkable number of Zoom meetings where people are very clearly doing some kind of other work. Yeah, don't do that. You need this. This requires your full attention. That is a factor for success, or else you're wasting your time and mine. I might well swear, so if you have children in the room, you might want to wear headphones, okay? If you're easily offended, you didn't do your homework. Bad luck. It's going to be, I'm just going to be Mark. I can't be fucked anymore. I did a workshop earlier for a corporate coaching group and it was fine, but it's hard work doing that. And I'm too old and too tired to bother not being myself. So, you know, that's the beauty of purpose work, actually, is being ourselves as part of it. What else? I think they're the main ground rules. Yeah, I've got the main ones covered. We'll take a little break in the middle, but it won't be long enough to go and do anything. So it will be very deliberately a short break, so you won't have time to sort of go out into your normal life and start talking to your husband or emailing or whatever. It's just enough for sort of water in, water out very deliberately. So it's going to be a pretty full-on 3 hours. Expect to be tired afterwards. Nobody's client-facing immediately afterwards or with a heavy responsibility, are they? No one sort of 9 o'clock has to be like, right, on a call, new client, you know, impressing them. This is good. You might want a gentle walk or something afterwards. Suitably terrified? Excellent. Okay, so let me tell you my story, just because I think it's in some ways interesting, and will illustrate, more importantly, will illustrate a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about here. So let's get that up. Okay, so I was born in a little village in the east of England, in a place called the Fens. If you imagine something like Alabama, rural but not very nice, that's where I come from. I was told I was very clever as a child cognitively. However, I was pretty miserable, pretty suicidal. And I think as a young man, I didn't really have a sense of meaning or calling. And that was actually very difficult for me. So I looked for things like drugs and sex and all sorts of other things to find some sense of meaning. And that was very difficult for me. But at university, I was a fully fledged alcoholic by the time I was at university, which was very easy for me academically, but I didn't have this sense of meaning in my life. I was studying psychology. Oh, by the way, if I speak too quickly for you, please do this to ask me to slow down before you hate me. I do speak quickly, think a lot quicker. However, at university, I did discover Aikido. Some of you know Aikido, some of you don't. It's a martial art, but there was something in it which gave me a sense of meaning. And I don't know what it was. It was a feeling as much as anything, an embodiment. It was a quality that I just went, this is meaningful to me. And it was a bit weird. Like, I'd never done much sports. I certainly didn't think of myself as a tough guy or whatever, but martial arts, it had meaning. And interestingly, I followed that meaning. And it led me to work with children, outdoor education. Eventually, it led me to work in areas of conflict. I wanted to do something meaningful. So I thought, you know what, I need to be on the sharp edge of things. There's a school with bullet holes in there in Brazil. And the bottom right was Ethiopia. That's me helping disarm a group of people in Ethiopia and working with the Sierra Leonean military. And eventually, I sort of got a bit tired of being shot at and unpleasant, living out of a bag and being uncomfortable the whole time. So I went back home, I set up a business training company. But again, I was like, well, it has to be meaningful to me. I have to do work that has meaning. By this point, the embodied work I particularly love. And I kept following what I loved. In the same way as we get married, you know, there's a little picture of me and Daria there getting married. And that idea of following what you love has really seen me to good times. It's seen me to be happily married, relatively healthy, and doing something on a daily basis that even days like today where I have a long day, I'm a little bit ill, I'm, you know, maybe more going on than I would like, I still am happy to go to work. And there's a real sense of like, yeah, I love my life and I want to get on with it. Yeah. So for me, if I look at the difference between me as a sort of alcoholic teenager and me now, while I'm certainly a bit chubbier now, I'd say I'm a lot happier. And it's definitely led to some of the success in my field that I have experienced. Like things like the Embodiment Conference, which have done really well, was all from following passion and purpose. Yeah. So that's kind of my own story. And I don't know if anything resonates there for you. The question I'm going to ask you to do in small groups for 3 minutes is, what are the benefits of purpose? What are the benefits of being more on purpose in groups of 3 or 4? And you're literally going to have 3 minutes. So name some of them. I just gave you a bunch of them, but you may experience this. I don't have this, and that's why I've paid money to come to this course. You may experience this as, I once had this, but I've lost it and I really missed that. Or I know someone with this and I'm kind of jealous of them, you know? Or, you know, I've got a sense that something is possible, but I haven't got it yet. So what are the benefits of being more aligned with purpose, even if it's from a 7 to an 8? What would be that benefit? Yeah? Does this make sense? Thumbs up if that makes sense as a question. Okay. You should see a little breakout room thing happening now. 3 minutes. Okay, welcome back. Looks like you were happily chatting as no one rushed back. So don't tell me your whole life story. Just shout out or put in the chat, what are some of the benefits of bothering to do this work? Because frankly, it's fucking hard work. It's confronting. It's hard work. Sometimes it's fun, but it's not always easy. It's often not easy. So let's check there's a good reason to do this shit. So shout out. Why bother?
Being energized.
Absolutely. People say, where do you get your energy from, Mark? Well, it sure is not because I'm like super fit or drink green smoothies every day, right? Where do you get your energy from? You know, I come, you know, for me, it's like I stereotype myself, but there is a way in which I wake up in the morning and I'm like, let's fucking do this. Like, you know, I'm not exactly Genghis Khan hitting the world in the face with my dick or something, but there is some sense of like, right, let's crack on, you know, like, and I have energy all day long. It's rare for me to lose that. It does happen. I have periods of depression and things like that, you know, like moderate kind of dips, but generally lots of energy, not a problem for me. What else? Shout out.
I just chucked in something in the chat about having courage. I think it's about giving you the courage to step up and do more and be more. Yeah.
There's 100 reasons not to do something, like a project I just started, or a book you want to write, or having a baby, or, you know, there's 1,000 reasons not to do all those things. Okay. Having a baby, writing a book, starting a business. These things are hard. If you talk to someone who started a business or had a kid, you could easily talk yourself out of it. You need a good reason you need a source of courage. Something has to make the horrors and the challenges of life worthwhile. And it's not pleasure. Trust me, I lived in Brazil. Every day I drank beer and fucked Brazilian women. It was great. Don't get me wrong. I recommend trying it. I was miserable the whole time. Pleasure is not enough. You need a reason that is meaningful. Meaning is that reason, right? So like it's hard. You know how hard it is to write a book? When you think you're 80% done, you're 20% done at best. And you go, oh, I don't want to write this. Like every book you go through this stage of just wanting to kill yourself rather than finish writing the book. It's easier for me to kill myself than write the book. You know? Like you need something that pushes you through that. Clear direction. Yes. Why do we want clear direction? Why would that be a good idea to have clear direction? Help make decisions. Yes. So we live in a postmodern world. What that means is we don't have our values laid out to us. If you grew up in medieval England, all right, or my ancestors in Ireland, the church said do this, the king said do that, and you fucking got on with it. You didn't need to make any choices. If your dad was a carpenter, you were a carpenter. If you're a woman, you had 10 kids, you died in childbirth, that was it. Okay. End of story. We have choices, which is fantastic, but choices don't make you happy either. Choices make you miserable, unfortunately. Yeah. So we have to have some kind of clear direction in this postmodern swamp of what looks like freedom, but is actually just a confusing supermarket of fucking who knows what, right? Like, how do you know your values? You have to have some sense of your direction. What else?
Often it's financially successful.
Yes, often, but not always. Not guaranteed, but certainly far more likely. I mean, think about this. If you had a choice between, I don't know, two therapists, one who therapy was their whole reason for being, their whole life, they'd studied therapies, they'd probably got really good at it. It's two mechanisms here. One is enthusiasm and inspiration. The other is practice. The therapist who was like, wow, I love being a therapist. My whole reason for being, my whole life revolves around that. It's super great therapy. I've spent my whole life studying it. Even on my weekends, I study it. It's a great thing, you know. And another therapist is like, yeah, it's my job. Right? Which one are you going to go for? Now, the first therapist is going to generally be more inspiring and compelling, but also they're going to fucking get better, right? Like, there is no logical reason to practice as much as you need to be excellent. I mean, does anyone know a high-level sports person or high-level musician, an embodiment teacher that spent years and years studying Aikido? You know, I used to Aikido 8 hours a day. That's not normal. You have to be weird to practice that much, and only by practicing that much do you get good at anything. You know, Gladwell's 10,000 hours thing. 10,000 hours is a warm-up when it comes to excellence. Yeah. So it's like, if you're not deeply in purpose around something, you just won't get good enough at it. Make sense? You get good at watching TV and drinking beer, and you'll get good at what society tells you to get good at, doing nothing and being apathetic. You'll get good at something. You'll get good at Facebooking, or, you know, whatever you do instead of your thing. You've got to do something with your life, right? What else? Self-esteem. Yes, absolutely. Being self-esteem comes from three main sources. Being good at something is one. Being competent, okay. Contributing to others is a second one. Yeah. So there's a third one, but those two are strongly aligned around purpose. Purpose for me always has a contributing element to it. Some element of contribution. And again, if you fucking obsess about something, you get good at it. Yeah. Okay. Sense of security. No. I would say a sense of purpose in some ways is about moving away from a need for security. It might create a deeper sense of security, but there is no place to stand. A sense of purpose is the sense that your sense of purpose might mean that you need to go live in Ethiopia. That's what happened to me. Yeah, your sense of purpose might mean you need to go live inside an Aikido dojo and get beaten up every day for 3 years. Yeah, so there isn't it's the opposite of security. You've surrendered to something. Yeah, sometimes I get an idea for a course, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to do that. Oh no, because I know it's really aligned with my sense of purpose. Part of me is just like, oh fuck, I know, I don't want to work with yoga teachers. I don't like yoga teachers. But then there's this clear calling in me that just makes me do it. Yeah. So don't think of this as sort of chocolates and blowjobs and honey and stuff. Like, the sense of purpose is more like being a slave to an unpredictable master. Still want it? Who else are you going to make in charge of your life? Your ego? See how that works out. Okay. Self-esteem, sense of value, clear direction. Any other benefits? I think it's a benefit in itself, right? Meaning as a human need. Maybe you've done some research on meaning. People can live with a lot if they have meaning. We talked about how it makes the horrors of life more bearable. Jordan Peterson talks about that a lot, but so did Viktor Frankl. A man can withstand anything if he has a why. And you will all be hit by horrible things in life. This is just normal. Cancer and heart attacks are normal. This is life. Yeah? Like, COVID has just made life more obvious. You were always at risk of death. Actually, COVID's still far less likely to kill you than a heart attack. It's just like, nothing's changed. It's just making it more obvious that you're at risk of death. Yeah. Self-belief. I'd say there's a few more. It makes you more attractive. Sorry about that. Really terrible. This is a really big downside of purpose, particularly to women, if you like women, but also to men, more to women in my experience, if you're lesbian or straight man. So sense of purpose is very attractive to other people. It's extremely beneficial to your relationships on the whole. There's some very big relational downsides. in that any relationship will be secondary to your sense of purpose. Sometimes people don't like that. They want to be number one. Yeah. One of the secrets, I think, of a good marriage is to say, I'm sorry, you're number two. The most central thing in my life is my work. Yeah. And that doesn't sound logical. Trust me on that one. Well, you don't have to trust me. Try it. See what happens. Do the experiment. Make someone your everything. Make someone else your purpose. Make someone else the center of your world. That's a valid option for people if you're very relational. If you're very relational, your purpose could be other people. For example, I've seen this from mothers. I occasionally see it from fathers. I've seen this from the sort of dedicated people that have really good friends. You can make people your purpose. There's a risk in that, though. There's a real risk. There's some serious risk to that. Yeah. Personally, for me, the best things have come for me for actually making relationships not primary. That doesn't mean I don't value my wife or my friends. Something slightly different. Play. Yes, there's definitely joy in purpose. There's definitely joy. You know, this whole find to do what you love for a living and you'll never work a day in your life again. And that's a cliche, but there's truth in that, right? There's real truth in, I go to work and I'm making jokes and I'm having fun with Daniela and I'm chatting with Alexandra and all my colleagues, and they're nice people. We get on well and we're doing cool stuff and we're playing, and I'm thinking, I'm getting paid for this. This is crazy. Yeah. So fun isn't the defining feature of purpose, and it shouldn't be the defining orientation, but it's one of several signposts. One question you can ask yourself, very simple question: at what point were you most enjoying yourself while you're at work? It's not the only question I would ask you to determine purpose, but it's a starting point. When were you most enjoying yourself at work? And not in a way which is just because, you were getting fed chocolate or something, some sort of obvious pleasure. Yeah. There's a questioner for openers to reflect upon. It's a simple opener. When, what job did you most enjoy? If you can think of a job, what aspect of that job did you most enjoy? And not enjoyment, as I said, like fun, but enjoyment like a sense of satisfaction, a sense of being alignment, a relaxed sense of rightness. The first time I felt this in my life, I'd volunteered on an Aikido project with the United Nations in Cyprus. And I'd been sort of the gopher boy, the like T-boy of these Richard Strozzi Heckler and Don Levine, who were these great men doing this big project. And I had time and they didn't. So I became the assistant manager. And I had the job of leading all these people across what's called the Green Line from the Greek side of Cyprus to the Turkish side of Cyprus, where we're all having dinner. And this was quite a difficult thing to do because there's a sort of demilitarized zone and there's a lot of tension. And I was walking across this kind of demilitarized zone. And there's like barbed wire and, bullet holes in buildings and stuff. And there's 100 people behind me who were following me to this restaurant. And I'd done all the work to make sure we could get through the border, but it was still a bit kind of risky. And I had this sense in my body, like, I should be here. This is exactly where I should be. I'm doing the right thing at the right time in the right place. Yeah. With the right people. Purpose involves all of those things: time, place, people, activity. Yeah. What, who, where, when. And it was just a sense of rightness. I didn't feel super happy. I didn't feel full of myself. I wasn't like, yay, self 5, I'm awesome. It was just a sense of flow, of correctness, of I'm in exactly the right place. It's a similar feeling when you fall in love and you're like, this person. It's not necessarily super exciting. It's just a sense of rightness or comfort in some ways. Does it make sense? Has anyone ever felt that sense of alignment, of rightness? I'm saying different words because different people feel it in different ways. Basic message from today, before we do anything extreme and intense, whatever. The body tells you when you're on purpose. Think of the body as your radar. If you take nothing from today, take this. Write this down, those of you who like writing things down and then never look at your notes again. The felt sense, and this is not a black and white thing. It's a more or less thing. It's like, yeah, is it left or right? Like sometimes, for example, I was doing stress workshops and that felt pretty on purpose. And then after a few dozen of these stress workshops I was doing, they started to feel a bit boring. And I started to get annoyed with the people in the stress workshops. And then I started like not wanting to meditate beforehand. I didn't want to get up early. And I started almost being late for the trainings. And at a certain point, I realized, my purpose has gone off. And it took me a while to realize it. These days, I'm much quicker at getting back on track. So one perspective on purpose is almost like a sort of slightly mysterious moving goal. And for me, I think it will always involve embodiment in some way, but it might not be that. Yeah, it might be something else. You know, I've always this different aspects to it. It might evolve into something else. For example, if the apocalypse does happen and there's no more embodiment teaching, I'll probably end up just like teaching kids or something teachery. Do you know what I mean? Teaching kids how to do farming or something, you know, like there'll be some other variation of teaching for me that seems to be part of it for me. And as long as I can have fun and make some meaningful contribution to people teaching, and, you know, probably with the body, but it will change. There's to do with the circumstances, but also to do with me. Yeah, to do with my own alignment. So that body radar, and this is where embodiment comes in, right? If you're body aware, you're going to have a felt sense of this. Anything that numbs you out or distracts you is not your friend when it comes to purpose. I spent 10 years as an alcoholic. I did a fucking PhD in this. Okay. So and here's the other thing, you get diminishing returns from those things, and you need a greater and greater level of stimulus to hide your purpose. Purpose wants to tell you gently, hey, Mark, you enjoy this, do this more. If you don't listen to it, however, it will torture you. Yeah. It will torture you to death if necessary. So it's like, you know, you can get the message early, or you can be a dumbass like me, drink every night to try and get rid of that uncomfortable feeling, because it's not always a pleasant feeling. Yeah, it can be a feeling of, why am I doing this with my life, right? I was working in an office going, this is a total waste of time. Then I just get drunk. Makes sense? Instead of actually sitting with that deep discomfort and going, what the hell am I doing? It's time to leave. Time to find another adventure. Time to do something that really aligns with me. Yeah. So numbing activities are a big one. If who's less than a 5 out of 10 on purpose? Give us a wave. Less than a 5. Okay. Take a week off all entertainment. No phones, no books, no films, nothing. Preferably go camp in the woods for a week. You'll go fucking mental for a couple of days, and then you'll get at least 1 point closer. Yeah. You might have a very clear sense of it. Again, it's not easy though, right? Who wants to go sit in the woods for, it's a nice idea, sit in the woods, right? 2-3 days in, you'll be going on. You ever done solitary confinement? I don't recommend it. Yeah. I've done solitary retreats, 2 or 3 days in with no books, no audio, no nothing. Yeah. No distractions at all. You'll get closer to purpose, but it will drive you nuts. So there's a barrier to get through if you really want to get to the purpose side of things. Yeah. That's like the tough love way. There's other ways to do it, but certainly the more you distract yourself, the more you numb yourself, the less in touch with that radar you are. You might want to do that in degrees rather than as extreme as that. If someone comes to me and says, I'm suicidal because I don't know what I'm doing with my life, that is a great idea. Do that instead, right? I mean, you've got nothing to lose. You're going to kill yourself. Make sense? But if they're just like, oh, maybe I'm just a bit, you know, drinking a bit too much, watching a bit too much television, and yeah, I might say, you know what, maybe turn TV off for a week. Just give that a break. Give the alcohol a break for a month. See what comes up. Is this making sense? Give me some sort of a feedback here. Yeah. Okay, different perspectives on purpose. A lot of the purpose work you'll find comes from a sort of almost evangelical American perspective. Now, as most of you know, I hate the USA. No, I hate some aspects of the USA. I love others, if I'm honest. I wouldn't be doing the purpose work I was doing now if it wasn't for American colleagues. Actually, I should be grateful too. However, America was founded by religious crazy people who thought they had a mission from God. Okay, this is the beginning of the country. So there is this quality to American culture of, it's called American exceptionalism. It's like God has a special mission just for you. You are special and different. The power of the unique individual, and it's sort of religiously inspired country actually, despite the supposed separation of church and state. And what you'll see is this purpose idea of like God has a special mission just for you, and you're special. I think there's problems with that. Okay, that it's more skeptical, cynical people just don't believe that. B, I'm not sure if it's true. I would consider myself purpose agnostic. So what I mean by that is there may be some sort of thing I'm meant to be doing in life, but it'd be fucking arrogant to say I knew that. Like, I know with certainty God's plan for me. Really? You're that certain? To me, that just seems arrogant. So it's better to say, you know what, I feel, or I suspect, or I have an inclination, there's some I wouldn't call it fate, but some kind of way in which I'm best aligned with the universe. We could call that a sort of Taoist perspective, right? More like a Taoist perspective than a sort of Christian perspective. Yeah. Or you can take an existentialist humanist who's a European, get your berets out, existentialist human perspective, which would be something like you choose to live as if you have purpose. In the face of the meaninglessness of life, you make a choice. This is existentialism. Yeah. You make a choice to live as if there is a purpose to your life, because that is the best way to live. That's kind of pragmatism as well. Does it make sense? So you can take your pick. You can either take the American model, which is the sort of exceptional, you know, God has a plan just for me. And you know what? There's some truth in that. There's some felt sense of like, I'm meant to be here doing this work. You know, when I started COVID Calm, there was a little, which is our program for doctors and nurses we started a couple of weeks ago. There was a sense of like, no, this is my work. I was put here to do this, you know? And you've got to be a little bit careful you don't get fucking messianic with that. But there's a valid perspective. Or you can take the European humanist model of saying, you know what, I'm just going to choose meaning in a meaningless world. Who's a nihilist? Have we got any sort of Nietzsche fans here? No. Philosophy, motherfuckers. And the other perspective is that Taoist perspective, which is more about like going, any Taoists? Any hippies? Okay, Taoist perspective would be something like you're going with the flow, aligning with yourself, with your own nature and the nature of the world in a way that's mysterious, but you have to be listening and tuned into. Can you accept one of those three perspectives? Yeah, Jung's synchronicity would be a little bit the first perspective and a little bit the Taoist one, maybe. Have I given you at least one option out of those three? They all have pluses and minuses. I tend to move between them, depending on what. I'm a pragmatist, really, so I just sort of use what's useful. Yeah. Cool. Didn't expect philosophy from Swearing Boy. Okay. We're about to go on an adventure, so let's wish ourselves well. Let's do a little meta meditation to resource ourselves. So hand on your heart. Feet on the ground if you can. Thanking yourself for the courage to sign up for something called Purpose Bootcamp. The courage to at least look at this stuff. The aim today is not to be perfectly on purpose at 9 p.m. The aim is to give yourself some tools to get there, to nudge you in a good direction, to give you some things to be taken home that you can work with over the next few months. It can take a few months. It took me a couple of years. Wishing yourself well with that little adventure. Maybe adding to the tools you had, maybe getting you from a 3 to a 4 or a 4 to a 6. Wishing yourself well, thanking yourself, being grateful that you have this opportunity, you have enough health, you have enough money, you have enough energy and enough time. There's a lot of people in the world that don't. A lot of people in the world that are too busy surviving to think about purpose. This is a first world problem. I don't think any of my great grandparents in rural Ireland thought about life purpose. They just got on with their life because they had to. Thanking yourself, wishing yourself well. Maybe using a little mantra like, may I be happy, may I be well. Whatever's authentic for you in your first language. May I be at ease. May I have the courage. And opening your eyes, looking at the screen, wishing everybody else well. We're on a little bit of a quest, you know, like in Lord of the Rings when they set out with the ring, the 12 of them. So, a bit of a geek. Leaning forward slightly, wishing each other well. You know, we're differently resourced, we're at different stages in our journey, so we're all going to get something different from this. My confident promise is that if you engage sincerely for the next 2 hours and 20 minutes, you will get something useful that you can take away and use to be more on purpose if you work with it over time. Yeah. Okay. Now's the time to run away if you want to run away. Okay, I won't. Yeah, you're going to run away? Okay, no problem. No problem. You can always watch the recording. I respect that as a choice, genuinely. There's times when I've been in survival mode or maybe your life's rough right now, so I really do respect that as a choice.
Yeah, sorry. I can feel the panic attack coming on. I had a really tough day, so I don't think this is for me right now in this moment. But I'm loving what I'm hearing so far. So
Tanya, smart choice. Watch the recording.
good luck, everybody.
The next time we do this, you can come free, okay? Smart choice. Well done.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
I like it when people make self-care choices. That's very smart. It also enables me to be completely full on with the rest of you. So good. All right. So why are you not on purpose? Breakout rooms, 3 minutes. Why are you not on purpose now? Why are you not a 10? That's the question. 3 minutes to discuss it. No excuses either. Okay, back early. Isabel, have we met yet? Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Where are you?
In Munich.
In Munich.
Germany.
Haven't been. I heard it's nice. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So let's hear your piss poor excuses. Go. Why are you not free on purpose? What's that?
Childhood trauma.
Not your fault, is your responsibility now. Next one. You're starting at the deep end there, hey? Fucking, I had some of that. I feel your pain. Next one. It's just to speak out loud. Don't put your hand up. It's not school.
I'm lacking clarity.
Yeah. So, okay, that's the problem redefined. Yeah. So like the reason I have a problem is I have a problem. That doesn't make sense. It's circular logic. Next.
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt. Okay. Entirely your responsibility.
Yeah.
Next.
I'm spinning too many plates. I'm doing too many things. I'm kind of good at many things, but excellent at nothing.
Okay. So I'd reframe that as I've chosen to spin too many plates. Okay. And I've chosen to not be good at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kevin. Brave. Next one. You're getting the idea, aren't you? We're going to keep doing this for another 5 minutes. Next person.
I think.
Comparing yourself. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
We've done childhood trauma. None of you can fucking beat that. So keep it coming.
Well, I wouldn't say it's childhood trauma, but I think I called it immigrant mentality, and I've suddenly woken up to that.
Okay, great. I like the waking up part. So we have cultural conditioning, right? Like I'm from a working class British background. People working class will say, "You don't. I just know your place. Don't be too big for your boots." You know, Irish background. They take the piss out of anyone in Ireland who's successful. It's, in Holland they call it tall poppies. In Japan they say nails that stick up are hammered down. Fucking awful. Yeah. So there's cultural part, again, not your fault. But if you're still doing your culture exactly as your culture says, you've become a victim of that culture, right? You have a choice as an adult. There's British things I love. I'm British as fuck in some ways. There's other British things I go, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to do that. Maybe being emotionally repressed isn't the best thing to do. Yeah, maybe invading half the world isn't the best thing to do, right? There's things that are very great British traditions that I go, man, no. Football hooliganism, no. Okay, watching the World Cup, yes, right? There's traditions we follow and traditions we don't. So whether it was your family of origin or your culture of origin, grow up. Time to move on. Next. Come on, next excuse.
Okay, for me there is fear of the unknown, fear of the effort it will take to live up to the purpose.
Okay, great. You're absolutely right. There is a fear of it. And I would say, let's realign it so that you're more scared to not. Our next exercise is going to be visualizing your life completely off purpose. Okay. So your choice isn't either I'm fine or fear of purpose. Your fear is the actual choice is a terrible, terrible fucking life, or fear and purpose, right? So it's like really screwed, still screwed, but maybe on purpose. Makes sense? We need to make sure that you're clear what your actual choice is. The choice isn't between comfort and fear. Makes sense? So you think the choice between comfort and fear. Actually, the choice is between being massively fucked and having a meaningless life, probably ending in suicide, a terrible marriage, and just a shitty time, or fear and purpose. That's the actual choice. We want to get really clear what the actual choice is. You probably won't then choose this side of things. Yeah, the comfort trap. Any other excuses? Come on, why aren't you on purpose? What's wrong with you?
I tend to listen to my head, to all the pro and cons, instead of listening to the body.
Absolutely. So there's this voice in my head saying, oh, don't do that, and what will people think of you? One of my biggest advantages, I almost don't have that voice. So, you know, the voice that says, you shouldn't do that, what will people think? I was very lucky. I had an alcoholic father, and I grew up in a small village. And everyone would shame me for having this alcoholic father. And so that voice inside that said, oh, what will people think? I just went, fuck what people think. And that's been incredibly useful for me. Yeah, there's a great book called, what's it called? Is it called Fuck It by Mark Manson? So the ability to say fuck it, the ability to go, yeah, there is a voice in my head saying, who do you think you are? And maybe you shouldn't do that. And second, that's normal. Every artist and writer experiences this. There's a great book called The War of Art by Steve Pressfield, The War of Art. It's all about that resistance artists have, you know? So totally normal, not an excuse. We all have that to some degree, even me. Next, why are you not fully on purpose? Shelley.
Past failures and fuck-ups.
Great. So because I failed in the past, that's a reason to ensure that I fail in the future. Good logic.
And also, I think a lot of early abandonment in my life, not feeling held.
Sure, we've all got emotional stuff. And again, I come back to, you know, I had the alcoholic dad. Someone else had a dad that beat the shit out of them. Someone didn't have a dad at all, right? Like, we've all had it rough. Look on the screen here. All these people have had tragedy in their life. Put your hand up if you've never experienced tragedy. You've never experienced abuse or the loss of a loved one. You've never seen the horror of war. You've never been abused. You've never been attacked. You've never been emotionally abused by a boss or an ex-boyfriend. Put your hand up if you've got none of that horror. Your life has been, I mean, maybe you're like 16, you've got great Buddhist parents or some shit, but most of us have got enough wrinkles around our eyes that everybody's here has been through shit, right? And actually, if you look at the lives of a lot of people that have achieved great things, they've been on purpose doing what they love, then maybe it's a great thing in the world. Maybe it was a quiet, great thing. Like they raised 3 children beautifully. You know, no one's going to write a book about them, but they're fucking epic, right? None of those people didn't have a trauma. I'm kind of glad we started with trauma because it gets the excuses out of the way, right? So my perspective on this is it's not your fault that you're fucked up, and it is your responsibility.
Can I throw in another trauma?
Just for a moment, as a mantra, just get that in your head. I'll come back to you, Shelley, I promise. It is your responsibility. So another frame here is it's not following your purpose. It's sort of selfish. It's like you have this huge potential. There's a story in the Bible about this for those of you who are Jewish or Christian. It's like you have this huge potential and you decide not to give it to the world, right? You have this huge, like human beings' potential is insane what a human being can do. It's insane what we like. You look at the best of us in whatever field and you go, fucking hell. You know? You have this huge potential to be a genius at something, to be very, very, to contribute to the world. And instead you watch TV or drink beer. Well, you're not against TV or beer, but you know, whatever the thing is that isn't your purpose. Actually, it's kind of fucked up. It's kind of selfish. Yeah. It's like, really? You have all those gifts and you make excuses not to give them to the world? I mean, other than being strange, it's also unethical, I would say. To not live a life of purpose is an unethical decision because a life of purpose for me contributes more to the world. So those of you who are nice and like contributing to people, this is the best way to contribute. There is no better way to help others than to do what's purposeful for you because you'll be fucking great at it. I mean, imagine me as what would I be shit at? Who knows me? Who's been, Shelley, you've known me for years. What would I be really shit at?
We don't have enough time for that.
Such a bitch. Come on, hit me up. Like, well, I don't know, a counselor.
A counselor. I don't know, kids teacher. No, actually, I don't like you and you're swearing.
But like a sensitive counselor.
Kind of very, very soft, raw kind of people.
That just wouldn't be good, would it? I'd just upset everyone. I'd hate myself. Every day would be hard work for me. I wouldn't be any good at it. I'd just be in the wrong job. And then no one would benefit, right? Okay, whereas doing what I do now, I feel like people benefit. Also, my bank balance benefits. Everyone fucking benefits, right? So it's we're all really bad at something, and that's, if in a way we can say culture has meant that we're not on purpose. That's absolutely true. Like, society doesn't want you to be on purpose. Let's be conspiracy theorists now. No 5G bullshit, but let's be conspiracy theorists. Why would the kings and priests of our cultures, whatever they are, advertising, whatever, why would the kings and priests of our cultures not want us to be on purpose?
So they can roll out 5G.
Yeah, so they can do what they want.
Would be strong.
I don't have an opinion on 5G, by the way. So they can do what they want.
No,
so
we would be strong, and then they wouldn't like us to be there.
Exactly. If we're on purpose, there's a strength to be. There's a quality of being on purpose I have that means people just either step out the way or come along board, right? Sexually, by the way, you have that same quality when you're strongly on purpose. People are either like, I want to jump on your train and go where you're going, or they're like, hell no. Yeah. So it's that quality of clarity of direction means that we can't be easily influenced by lies, easily manipulated by powers that be. Yeah. So there's actually something quite revolutionary in pursuing purpose, because it means you not only take your ego out of the center of your life, you take the manipulation out of the center of your life. Like, can you imagine someone trying to stop me doing embodied training? Like, you could put me in a straitjacket in a prison and I'd still be doing embodied training with the other guards, with the guards. It's like, you couldn't stop me, right? It's like we become very hard to control. It becomes a more powerful force in our life than our own ego and the powers that be. Okay, so we all have reasons not to be. We all have stuff in the way. Don't be fooled by other people's appearances either. If you see someone successful, you don't see Robin Williams's crippling manic depression, right? You don't see, pick someone. David Bowie's eating disorder. You don't see me when I don't want to get out of bed and I'm really struggling and I've burnt myself out from overwork, which, by the way, is a risk of purpose, is burnout. Yeah. And you don't see me go, I don't want to get up today and talk to my wife and look really pathetic, because I'm not going to put that on Facebook, am I? Does it make sense? So don't judge your own struggles by the success of others, because the successful are more visible and they make the successful parts of their life more visible. So if you're going to judge yourself, judge it by what you did yesterday, right? The key piece here is, can I be 0.1% more on purpose compared to yesterday? And good and bad days. All right, let's give you a bit of a vision here then. So we went through the benefits. So great relationships, that's interpersonal, great subjective energy, happiness, that part, and great objective, doing more good in the world and also more money generally, though that's not promised. So that's the good reasons to do this. What motivates you, honestly? Is it feeling good? Is it contributing to others? Is it just, I want to make more money? Like, I quite like money. It's what actually motivates you? Because I want you to focus on that. And now, in pairs, I want you to describe your life in 10 years or 5 years, if you prefer. If you had totally had no purpose in your life, you'd gone in the opposite direction of this workshop. In case maybe it's me doing a job again in the office that I'm not suited to, that I really despise, and what's going to happen to my marriage? Okay, I'm going to be overeating because I'm sad. So what's going to happen to my health? Okay, is my wife going to want to fuck me? Probably not. Okay, what's going to happen to my money? Am I going to be really successful in this crappy career that I've, for some surreal reason, gone into? Does it make sense? And I want you to, without laughing, without joking, I want you to paint the bleakest, the most realistic picture. The most realistic picture you can. Yeah? And I want you to feel it. So you're going to get 4 minutes, 2 minutes, let's call it 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes to explain. So you can, please, one of you keep time. Yeah? You can keep time yourselves. 2 minutes to talk through, 30 minutes to sit quietly and feel. Then swap, 2 minutes to talk through this terrible life you're sort of creating already. If you're below an 8, I would say. Yeah, you're sort of on this path if you're not already at least an 8. The default is fucked. The default is what advertisers want. The default isn't you magically find purpose. Entropy, basically. And then 30 seconds for the second person to feel the impact of that. The problem is not that people aren't hurt by the fact that they're not on purpose. The problem is they don't allow themselves to be hurt enough. Does that make sense? So the problem is not, it sucks. You wouldn't have paid money to come to this course if you were, if it didn't suck. But it's allowing it to really suck. I'm alcoholic, right? I've been sober 13 years. There's a point called rock bottom. Rock bottom is when it sucks enough that you get sober. Now you can have a high bottom. This is not a sexual term. A high bottom means your life only had to get bad before you got sober. And a low bottom is your life had to get really bad. Yeah, had to be like, I know a guy who woke up covered in blood and he'd accidentally killed his wife in blackout. That's a low bottom. His wife, who he loved, dead at his feet. That's a low bottom. Okay, you can get there with life purpose as well. You can wait till you hit that low bottom. But here's the thing, the high bottom or the low bottom, is this concept making sense? It's like, it's actually subjective. It's not objective. It's the feeling of enough. Like one of my bottoms when I was working with kids in the favela slums of Brazil, and I'd come in hungover. I was actually already seeking purpose, but I hadn't quite got there yet. And I had a complaint about me smelling of alcohol from one of the kids. And it wasn't a big deal. The person said, look, Mark, I know you want to relax and we all drink here in Brazil anyway. But, one of the kids complained. They really don't need that in their life because they have a lot of violent drunk men in their life anyway. And I just had this moment of pure shame. Not to them, guilt, you might say, actually, more accurately. It's to myself. And objectively, it was just being told off for being hungover. But it was a moment of just going, fuck me, I need to change something. So do you see how the subjective feeling of the pain is the key thing, not how bad your life is? Though your life will probably keep getting worse until the pain gets enough, right? So I want to save you a low bottom by giving you a more felt sense of a slightly higher bottom. Is this clear?
Mark, can I say something?
Please.
Yeah, thanks. I hope it's not making your life more complicated. I do feel that I'm very much on purpose. I'm just, my pain is that I'm just unable to make a living out of that.
Okay, so what you need is a marketing workshop. And I can give you a little bit to help on that. And one big part of marketing is continuously reorientating around your niche, which is the people you're most on purpose with. And the person I'd recommend for that is called Tad Hargraves.
14 hours.
He does work on, So I think if you're already like genuinely a 9.5 or a 9, now if you're an 8, it will actually improve your marketing to get to a 9. If you're already a 9 on purpose, what you need is just marketing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So stay or go as you prefer. Okay. For everyone else, I want you to feel the pain of what an unlived life is like. So 2 minutes describing your future unlived life not on purpose and all the bad things that happen. 30 seconds feeling it in silence, no chat, and then swap roles. So 5 minutes in total. Give me a thumbs up if the exercise is clear. Great. Okay, so let's go pairs. If there's no one in your room, hang on a sec and then come back if necessary. Recreate. There might be wrong group of 3. Yeah, there will be.
I feel a little tired and exhausted.
It's tiring stuff, this, actually. And after 3 people listening to the recording, I forgot to press record for a moment. So you missed some strengths work for about 20 minutes. We're just identifying different strengths. There's various questions you can find in the handout about strengths as well. So really just asking, what are you good at? What do you find easy that others find hard? What have you practiced a lot? What are you best at? And saying that strengths are also a key part of this. So not just to focus on sort of downside here, but also on strengths. So if you're listening to a recording, there's on the handout, you'll find the strengths question. We're just doing that. If the flow seems a bit interrupted, that's what it is. So apologies for that. The funny thing, Claudia, when I did a test at school about strengths, they said I should be a teacher. And because I hated teachers and my parents were teachers, I was like, no way, I will never be a teacher. And now, like, what, 30 years later, I'm totally a teacher.
Oh, we're coming back to the big group.
You are coming back to the big group. You should have got a 1 minute warning. How was that? Let's hear from 3 people and then take a break.
It was amazing. It was really, really good. It was challenging. It was catharsis. It was kind of like right on the ball.
Bam. Someone did a good job. Who was our partner? Who was Shelley's partner? 2 minutes of good work. Well done, Selwyn. Well done, both of you, really. There's a quality, if you bring a quality of presence to it and really stay present in the body, there's an embodied body coaching quality of what's called for here to bring out this person's presence. It's like an exorcism or something, you know? There's a quality to it, which is you can get better at. And so if you want to do this with a friend or a coaching partner, if you do peer coaching, for example, you can get better and better at this, yeah? There are yin ways to do it as well, which are much more about soft, gentle listening, but that it doesn't always do it. You can be in counseling for 4 or 5 hours and you've sort of got something off your chest, but sometimes it needs that like slight spiritual slap around the face, you know? Good. Someone else.
Well, my first answer was I don't know, and yet something was pulled out, and that was profound. So thank you.
You're welcome, Andy. You do fucking know. You know at the absolute core of your being. You know it more than you know anything. It's like you know it on like a deep mystical level. You might not have access to what you know. That's a fair framing. But you do know. Every cell in your body knows. +1 cat point, Shelley. You absolutely know. So that's a frame I would give you to even just imagine, you know, to step into the fact that I do know. And there's a way in which, as you say, I don't know, that's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. You can feel it's bullshit. Here's another way into it. If you don't know, go deeper into the not knowing. Like, how does it feel to be totally frustrated and confused? And like really the felt sense of the not, I don't know. I've heard people like scream and cry and insist. And then the nice thing to do is to let them off the hook and say, there, dear, don't do that. Right? The kind thing to do as opposed to the nice thing. The kind, not the nice thing, is to say, tell me. Yes, you do. Tell me. I've seen people break down in tears, insist they don't know, go, fucking stop asking me. And then 2 minutes later, they're like, to be a mother. And they fucking know. All right? So it's like, don't take your own bullshit or anyone else's if you're doing that exercise again. And again, someone you trust, someone who's robust, someone who's kind. It really is like sexual partners, but be even more careful with when it comes to purpose stuff. Only work when there's a container, when there's trust, when there's safety, when someone isn't trying to take advantage of you. It's very, very delicate work, purpose work. I would never do purpose work with my wife, for example, even though I trust and love my wife. It's not clean. It's not good. You know, I've got vested interests in her decisions. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. The coaches I would recommend her. Whew, is that enough on that? Okay. So here's the thing. I want to keep momentum. We're developing a really strong momentum here, actually. And I don't want you to break that by checking your Facebook or your emails or chit-chatting with your partner. That's, oh, we did this thing with Mark, and no, shut the fuck up. Okay, so keep silent if you need to. Go to the toilet if you need to. Get a drink of water if you need to. Just, have a snack if you need to, so you've got energy for the last hour and 20 minutes. But don't break all the hard work we've done, or else we'll have to fucking restart it energetically, and that takes more. We haven't got time for that. So literally 5 minutes, okay with you guys? Yeah? Can do 5 minutes. Okay, see you in 5. Let's make that until 3 minutes past 6 minutes. Off you go. Sorry, 43 past. Back and on time. Let's just have a quick check-in. I think we're going at quite a pace. This is quite a boot camp. We're doing sort of purpose black belt took 4 months. So this is about 2 months of the content in 3 hours. So just check you're not brutalizing yourself by continuing. I am going to be taking you a bit deeper and then out of it is the plan. So a bit more hard stuff and then maybe some more pleasant stuff at the end. We might well finish sane and happy. How you doing, Sarah? You okay? Yeah? Kind of let me have a look at you all. It's a bit harder online. You okay, Lisa? Okay. Energy levels out of 10. 10 loads of energy. 0 completely exhausted. Where are you at? I'm like a 7. Give you the husk of my energy. Keep them up. I'm genuinely looking. Okay, if you're below a 5 at any point, let me know. Okay, you might want to do what Cloudy did and take a rest. That's not a bad move to set out one exercise. You can always come back to it later, right? Okay, questions of anything we've done so far. Go.
It's now the right time to ask this question. I'd like to ask a question about
Go for it.
how do we know the difference in embodied way between self-sabotage and being on purpose? I woke up this morning feeling like shit. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. I think if you're just honest with yourself, you already know the difference, and you can always track back later, right? Like, hey, the last time I had this feeling, was it that I really needed rest and self-care, and that was really good for keeping me on purpose, or am I just being a lazy fucker staying in bed? Like, I think you do know the difference between those two things by your age, Selwyn. Like, for me, there's a felt difference between, you know what, I need to sleep in, I'm going to skip meditation, I'm going to come to my admin work late, it's really okay, I need to prioritize getting well right now, you know, and I can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? So I think there is a difference in somatics that you probably already know. For those of you who have done quite a lot of embodied work like you have, you've got a big head start in this. People who are completely from the head up dissociated, it's much harder. The first thing is just getting their bodies, because their radar doesn't work. Your radar is operational, I can see it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Someone else? Ask the question you don't dare ask. I'll be nice to you.
Let me ask one, Mark. Do you think purpose changes with time, or it remains the same? It's just the form of the way of expressing it into the world changes, but the purpose remains?
Probably both, neither, one or the other. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I mean, my experience is it definitely shifts. I mean, some people would have a narrative like, you know, your soul's calling stays the same and the package changes. Some people say it does shift. I mean, you definitely need to keep paying attention to it. Not on a daily basis, but on a monthly basis. Like you'll notice I'll put different courses. Those of you who's been following me for a while, you'll notice I put different courses out. Well, you know why? Because that's what feels good to me. It's not really business driven. It's not that market driven. It's mostly just that I'm following purpose and it does evolve. But then you'll see repetitions, like this is a repetition of something I've done before, you know? Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Good question though. Keep paying attention to it would be my, it's like a romance. You can't be like, well, we're married now, I don't need to listen to you anymore. Right? That's what getting a job that's on purpose. And you're like, I'm a 9 out of 10. Yay. 10 years later, you're like, oh, how'd that become a 6? Yeah. Good question. One more. One question left. Come on. No? Come on, I know one of you's got one. I can feel it. Is it you, Isabel?
Can I ask one more? If no one
Yes.
has more questions.
Be greedy. Go for it.
Do you think each of us has only one purpose in a way, or like one deep purpose, one real purpose, or can you have several purposes, in plural, several ways of manifesting ourselves?
Don't know. Yes, no, don't care. Both. The same answer as before. I think it's really okay to have multiple activities. I have multiple activities that sort of have one thing underneath all of it. And for me, that feels very aligned. I also think it's possible that there are some people who are much more relational than me. So the relational part also takes like a big chunk of their energy. Yeah, I think it's possible, though I think it's also possible to kid yourself with that. You know, trying to chase too many, you know, the old saying, man who chases 2 rabbits catch neither. Yeah. I think there's something about falling in love with something, getting obsessed with it, doing it to an unhealthy degree, to your absolute best, your absolute maximum. I think there's something in that. Yeah. Also, I know people that have great portfolio careers with different jobs, but usually if you look at it, there's sort of one underlying theme, you know, underneath all the different, like, I've done a lot of work with kids. That might seem very different from what I'm doing with you guys. Not really, actually. I mean, the energy is similar, but the I might not swear with kids or something, you know. So there's one underlying theme for most people that I've coached, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Good. Okay, let's do some work with death. So you might want to skip this if you've had a recent bereavement. In fact, I would recommend skipping it. Or if you're very worried and anxious about death because of COVID right now. I really don't mind. If you're going to do that, just go away for 10 minutes and come back and I'll still be here and you can still enjoy the workshop. First of all, who did the potential homework that I threw at you unannounced last night? Would anyone like to speak about that? Maybe David or Claudia or Katie? How was it? Katie?
Yeah, it was really interesting. In the end, I didn't exactly duck the issue, but what it really brought to my mind was that, what the hell have I been doing for the last 50 years? Because, you know, I really struggled to answer that sentence of Katie's greatest achievement was. So I thought, you know, that, and then that actually got me into quite a productive space. So I then started riffing on what it might be, and that helped me to get into the purpose piece.
So did you do the eulogy homework?
Yeah, I was doing the kind of, the RIP kind of thing. Yeah.
So this is a classic kind of personal growth exercise. I've seen it done in different ways, and it can be quite strong, and it can be a bit of a wake-up call. Like, what I would say with eulogy work is it can lean towards thinking you have to have sort of ended hunger in Africa or got rid of a tapeworm, or, you know, it doesn't, like, purpose doesn't have to be like a big external achievement like that. I think some of us are orientated towards big things. I am one of those people. You know, my heroes are Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great and people like that, you know. But it's but others of us, our purpose is quite quiet, quite humble, but it just feels really right, you know. And those, if you imagine your eulogy in those situations, like I remember at my grandmother's funeral, each of her children said something, and it was like, that's enough of a life work when you saw the children, you know. It was like, this, you didn't need to win a Nobel Prize or some shit, you know. Yeah, so I just want to point, those of you who have a more relational or a more quiet, humble purpose, I just want to say that's really okay. Yeah, we're not all rock stars. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question about the role of community to stay awake. It feels in my environment, there's a lot of people that be quite happy for me to play safe. And they're quite happy with the nice, enthusiastic Kevin. And I can feel I need some support to continue to dig into that territory.
Yeah, Kevin, that is the last thing we're going to look at before we conclude today. That is on our menu. So you are the sum of the 5 people you're around, and you are as on purpose as the 5 people you are most around. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, you surround yourself with on purpose people. They'll just look at you weird when you're not on purpose. It will become like subculturally weird. Like amongst like most of my friends and colleagues, like if I was doing something off purpose, they'd be like, "You doing that for the money? Why are you doing that? What the fuck?" It would just be weird to them that if I did something just for the money, you know. And also I find them inspiring. You know, if you're around people who are on purpose, it's like, what, fuck, you know, you did the thing with the wow, you know. So like I hope the communities of practice are really important. Like definitely, it's one reason I moved to a model of a 2-year mentorship program. That I now train 10 mentees for 2 years after EFC course. And the reason I do that is because I want them to inspire each other and see each other grow and create a little community of inspiration around that, rather than just do a course and then, you know, that's it. After 2 years of meeting with people regularly, they get close enough that they're their friends for life, I would guess. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Cool, cool, cool. Good point, Kevin. Okay, let's do some death meditation then. If you haven't done this already, who's done death meditation before? Give me a wave. Let's do it again, but with the frame of purpose. So you're setting an intention before the meditation of the reason I'm doing this is to come out of it with a clearer sense of purpose. To just have, it's like taking drugs. The frame and the frame really matters actually. When you take LSD, for example, it really matters. So it's the same with the meditation. So the frame isn't we're going to be better Buddhists or we're going to get enlightened. The frame is we confront our mortality. The fact that we hide death, we pretend we're invincible, we cover people up. We don't. Death is a huge taboo. That's why there's these great death cafes and things like that. And what that does is it takes us away from the opportunity of life. By giving ourselves the illusion that we're going to live for fucking ever. We can always do purpose later, right? It's like, well, you know, I just watch TV now. I'll do that later. I'm 40. I'm half dead. If I'm lucky, none of my grandparents lived to 80, actually. If I'm lucky, my dad died at 72. I'm probably half dead at 40. And if you take out childhood, I'm more than half dead as an adult, right? You know? Scarily, the subjective sense of time shortens as you get older. So actually, in that sense, I'm again more than half dead. I haven't got forever. Why isn't there an urgency? Because we pretend we're going to live forever. Reminding yourself, I like to walk in graveyards and imagine my name on the graves. You know, everyone in a graveyard in Brighton thought that they were going to live forever. Every one of those people didn't think they would die the day they died. They were just going, like my dad, going about his business, had a heart attack, dropped dead, doing his shopping. 72. He didn't expect to die that day. He thought he'd do his shopping. He thought he'd be able to read the newspaper later. Yeah. The only thing today I can say with certainty is that you will die. Please close your eyes. As you close your eyes, notice the light is semi-cut out. You can still hear me, so you know you're not dead, but the light has gone. Maybe you can feel the warmth of your body. That warmth will fade. You'll become the same temperature as your surroundings. Maybe you could notice your breathing or feel your heart beating. Maybe you want to put a hand on your heart. That heartbeat will stop. Your breathing will stop. Within a few minutes of your heart stopping, your breath stopping, blood will no longer be pumped to your brain. Your brain will deoxygenate. You will die. Actually, there's only one way to die, and that's the way. All other ways to die merely do that. What happens then, nobody knows. Maybe you will have a transformation of consciousness or a rebirth or, you know, go to heaven. I don't know. Nobody knows really, do they? But certainly in the form you're in now, you will die. There's not a religion out there that says you will continue in exactly the same form. That heart will stop. Every breath is a gift. Each one is uncertain. You could have a brain aneurysm right now. A heart attack could happen right now. You really don't know. Hope you don't, but you really don't know. Your flesh will rot or be burnt. First, the soft stuff, the eyes, the water, you'll dry out, dehydrate. The organs will be eaten by maggots, will be burnt away. The muscles, then it'll just be sort of skin and bones, and eventually the skin will be eaten or burnt. Then the bones themselves will disintegrate. Calcium, magnesium back into the soil, very likely, into dust, ashes. Your physical form will disintegrate into its component parts. You will no longer exist. Your possessions will be given away or sold. People will remember you for a little bit. Then, 100 years, 200 years, there'll be no one left alive who remembers you. Maybe you've written something down, but that will fade too eventually. Everyone you know and love will die. Everyone in this group will die. Statistically, in a year or two, probably one of us in this group will be dead. In 100 years, very likely we'll all be dead. What do you want to do before you die? Maybe it's a feeling, an image, or a word that comes up. Maybe nothing. That's okay. What do you want to do before you die? Maybe how do you want to be before you die? Who do you want to spend time with? What is left undone for you now? What is the work that sits undone? So you didn't get your shit together in time. There's a piece of work out there in the world with tools sitting by it, waiting to be done by you, but too fucking late, you're dead. What is the work that, it might be annoying to you that you didn't do it. It might be sad to you that you didn't do it. The book you didn't write, the people you didn't help, the project that didn't get done because you didn't do it. You're too tied up in bullshit to do it. Now you're dead. What's that work that's sitting there in the world that needed your hands, that needed your heart, that needed your words, and now it's not going to get done because no one else is going to do it. It was your work. What do you wish you'd done? You were supposed to do. You'd been given all the gifts to do, the strengths you'd been given, the opportunities, the teachers, and you still didn't fucking do it. Now you're dead. What do you want to do before you die? Please open your eyes, join the breakout room, 5 minutes with a partner. What do you want to do before you die? Please go straight into the rooms.
I lost my partner. I thought my connection got bad, but I think she
dropped out. No worries. Yeah. Everybody's due back in 30 seconds anyway, Kevin. So this is okay.
Okay.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, good. That's good. It feels like starting to dig into the right direction. Yeah. I'm excited. I want to do that more of that.
It's amazing, actually. In some ways, it's just a piece of work. And if you do the work and ask the questions and dig into it a little bit, very few people don't very quickly, get a result there. So,
Hi, Isabel. Sorry, I lost you.
Lost you too. Sorry.
Oh my God, abandonment issues, trauma to deal with. Okay, welcome back, everybody. How was that? Actually, first of all, give me a thumbs up if you're okay. Can I just check no one's like deep in death trauma here? Anyone? Valerie, you okay? Ish? Valerie, you there? I think she's frozen. Okay, anyone want to report back? Was it horribly depressing or maybe inspiring? How was it?
Mark, I always find it that I don't, it's not my first death meditation. I don't have any problem with that, with death. Sure. It's like when I'm gone, I'm gone, The fear or the difficult that I experience is when I'm reaching an age where I'm old and dependent. I don't have the same energy as I have now. And that's where I can feel maybe the regret coming up and all the questions. So, yeah.
Yeah, I find with aging, this is my experience, and tell me if it's yours, I sort of have a choice. I can go into sort of wallowing in regret, or I can use it, the same feeling starting point, to go in a different direction towards making the use of my time. And by the way, sometimes for me, this is like, spend more time with my niece. What the fuck am I doing on email? Doesn't necessarily mean, going off and doing some project. But there's a choice point where I have a feeling of like sadness. Because essentially, as we age, we lose something, right? We lose possibility. And you can still do things at 80, but you can't do the same things you can at 20. Like, let's not fucking kid ourselves. So that choice point where I go, okay, I feel a bit sad. I'm getting this creepy, weird, middle-aged old man now. Do I want to go into this direction of kind of wallowing in pity around that, or do I want to use that as a wake-up call to go this way?
Yeah, so I started with this kind of pain, and the more we got into death, I actually felt calm and relieved in a sense. The kind of like feeling, not relieved, but a kind of like a peace, okay, if I need to go, I need to go. But when I did ask myself the question of, okay, what is it, the one thing that I want to achieve before I die? Right. The first thing that came to me, which I found to be quite interesting, is that I want to be cleared out of all my debts.
Okay, right. Then there is a huge freedom in that. And there's a Swedish process. Well, as apparently when Swedish people die, they start to get older, they clear out their house and they clean things up and they get rid of all their debts and they make sure they're not giving anything to the next generation that's shitty as a job. They gradually sell off their possessions, this kind of thing. I've heard this from, I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard there's a name for it in Swedish. And there's something about being debt free, which is freeing. I decided when I got married, I wouldn't give debt to my wife. So I cleared all my debts as I got married. And it was a really interesting, but unburdening is how I felt somatically. So yeah, I can see where that might link. There is also the relief of death, isn't there? There's like, thank God it's over. Like, okay, all that effort. I've seen old people that have had a good death and they're like, I'm done. I'm fucking knackered. It's been a good life, but I can't be bothered. That's sort of not a bad place to get to, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is it Yoda says? Forever sleep. Yoda's deathbed, he's kind of old and he's had enough. And it's sort of a good death, isn't it? So I think we might get a hint at that at 40 when I can't be asked to get up at 6 a.m. It's the beginning of that flavor. So, I don't welcome it, but equally I don't want to push that away because I feel like there's a way in which at 80 or 90 or whatever, I want to be like, okay, enough's enough, not desperately hanging in there for another 10 seconds. Fuck that. Well, yeah. Anyone find some joy in this? Sometimes it's if it's your first death meditation, it can be a bit disturbing, but as you do them more, they can be surprisingly joyful. It's a bit of a wake. Irish Jewish style funeral,
Yes, I think. Sorry, I have to echo Shelley there because there was something in the clarity and almost the banality of the dying process, which just really kind of allowed me to relax into it. It was just so simple.
And there's a way in which really good on purpose. On one hand, there's like pure passion, like what breaks your heart, what do you have to do, what do you love, and on the other hand, you want to hold none of it matters. It's just a job. It's no big deal. You're going to die anyway. The trick is to simultaneously hold those two things. So it's like pure commitment, total non-attachment. That makes you enlightened, of course. None of us can actually do that. Okay. But if you're a little bit closer to the absolute commitment of I'm going to absolutely do this. And you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to die. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Like if you hold too much, fuck it, you won't get out of bed. And if you hold too much, right, I'm going to do it, you won't ever be happy. You won't ever really be on purpose. You just be driven, which is a different, ambitious, which is a different thing, right? Purpose isn't ambition. It's a different thing.
And it was interesting for me to see how a lot of the doubt, the self-doubt and the sort of that shadow stuff is just cleared out of the way so simply.
Dropped away.
Yeah.
Anyone struggle with it? Any first timers, particularly if you want to report your experiences? It's okay. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Hello.
Hello.
I'd like
Hey, oh.
I heard
a
Lisa first, if I
decision.
may. I heard Lisa, Lisa, then Valerie.
Okay. I just wanted to share that, I mean, I've done it before with different people, with your meditation, Mark, and others. And this time I really felt like helpless and anxious, even though before I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's gonna happen. And this time, I don't know, it was just like, I was like, I felt pity. And yeah, for myself, I think, and yeah, how do I go about it? I feel like it just like stir up something, like brought up something. And yeah,
we're going to do some body listening next, so that might be a good way to process that. And you've still got it at the end at 9 o'clock. Tell me, okay, and I'll give you a couple of practices to take let it go if you're still there at 9 o'clock, okay? But now just sit with the feeling of it, and there might be something in that that's helpful to digest. And definitely you get different times of this. I feel terrified. I mean, if you're not terrified of death, you haven't seen someone take their last breath, right? Like a bit of fear is not a bad thing to have around death. That's the most natural fear there is, maybe, So I wouldn't say that's a weird response to contemplating your own mortality. I mean, my teacher, Paul Linden, when he first got diagnosed with Parkinson's, he said he'd wake up in the night terrified, absolutely terrified of it. So that is an appropriate response to death. So if it's not the only one, another one could be gratitude. Like, I'm so grateful for the life I've been given. And oh my God, I saw the spring blossom today, and I walked in the park, and I got to hug my wife, and wow, I'm going to die, and that's not going to last forever. So boy, am I grateful. Anyone have a gratitude response? That's another common emotional response. Like, shit, we get to live. Huh? Like, wow. Yeah, I've had a few times when I've had a run-in with death, and afterwards I've been happy for a week. My mum was like a Zen fucking master. After she got cancer, she got rid of it. She killed the cancer. She was like a Zen for 1 year. Nothing bothered her. Then she became a neurotic bitch again, right? But like for a year, she was super cool because she just had this like run-in with death, and she just like nothing stressed her out. Another response you might get is horniness. Horniest I've ever been was on my way to Afghanistan. Death and sex are like that. Yeah, actually, evolutionary wise, they're like that too. So don't be, if you get a bit randy tonight, like you've got that like, I'm gonna fuck because I've got to live. That's life coming through you. Yeah, so just be a bit careful with that one. Don't fuck anyone you don't normally fuck tonight. Okay, social distancing, please, kids. Okay, Valerie.
I had a question because in the first sensation, when after the meditation, I had this sensation I really want to do something, but at the same time, then suddenly had the sensation, what's the sense in doing it? Is it normal?
Yeah. Non-attachment and nihilism are very close together, and you've got to be careful you don't slip into that. So remember the yin and the yang. So sometimes you need to get that sense of, I've got to go out there and do it and give my gifts, and you can lean into that somatically in your body, in your breath, in your meditation. And other times you get too attached, and the trick is then to lean into the non-attachment. But non-attachment and not giving a shit are two different things. I'm going to take your video off, Valerie, because it looks like your bandwidth is low. That will keep you able to hear you.
Yeah, my connection is, yeah.
No
thank you.
Okay. Whew, how are we doing? Still got time. Good. Diff meditation, regular one to do unless you're suffering a lot of anxiety, I would say is a good one. We're going to go into a slightly more gentle one now, but may still be deep, which is a bit of body listening. So hopefully you've got the message all the way through. The body is the radar. The body tells us we're on purpose. It gives us a sense of either of joy or of rightness. Sometimes it's heartbreak, the thing that breaks your heart. You walk past a homeless person. No one feels good when they walk past a homeless person, unless you're a fucking psychopath, right? The emotional response should be, that sucks. However, some people, it breaks their heart. And maybe those people need to work with homeless people, right? Makes sense? Sometimes it's what turns you on, what excites you, what you've got huge passion for. Like, I'm a total embodiment geek. I could speak about embodiment all day long, right? It's like, that's a sign. Okay, another sign is the sadness. What are you like deeply sad about? Another sign is the joy. So there's these emotional signs of caring. And as I said right at the beginning, of just alignment. It's very hard to express what I mean by that, but I think you get it. Rightness. So let's go into our bodies a little deeper. Please turn your cameras off. So bottom left, video off. And again, the intention is to connect to purpose. Find a comfortable upright position, please not lying down. And tune in to what feels most deep in you. That might be belly, heart, womb. What feels most deep for you in your body? I'm going to approach the body here in a much more yin way than I've been teaching most of today. Very yin meaning listening, openness. It's kind of like approaching a friend. You know, hey, how's it going? And, you know, a friend that's maybe asleep and you're just gently coming towards them. Or a cat that you want to stroke and you don't want to scare the cat off. It's kind of energy of like, hey, how's it going, kitty? With your body. You can drop in that question, what's my purpose? Well, you know, whatever feels good for you. It could be your first language. It might be like, what am I here for? What brings me closer to life? Be poetic with it. What question feels right to ask yourself? And don't demand, really like ask respectfully and gently. Hang out there a little bit, hang out. Being with your body, more like sitting by someone's bed as they wake up. A gentle being with. What's our purpose? What are we here for? Whatever feels right to you to ask, that's intuitive. Maybe the word comes up, maybe an image comes up, maybe a feeling comes up. The body speaks in different ways. And, you know, sometimes the body doesn't want to speak, and that's okay. Different things for different people. Sit deeply but gently with the sensation deep in your body, whatever that is, the heart, the belly, the womb, whatever feels deep, the spine. You might notice letting go or a deeper breath. Sometimes your body's just happy that you're hanging out, you know. If there's trust there, maybe something is forthcoming. If not yet, sometimes the body needs to do this a few times. What's my purpose? What's my calling? What am I here for? Use a phrase that feels really authentic and deep for you, maybe in your first language. Let's stay there for another minute in quiet and silence. And to come out of that a little bit, maybe thanking your body, even if not much came, maybe just that contact will help you for the future, builds trust with your body. Thanking yourself, maybe having a little stretch or a move, maybe the body's got some sort of intuitive movement there that wants to come. I'm going to offer you breakout room for a couple of minutes, just a couple of minutes. If you want to name the thing more cognitively, that can actually be very helpful to name the thing. If you don't want to name it, that's fine. So you've got an option of a breakout room there. Probably want to put your camera back on. Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, good.
How was the body listening?
Interesting. Yeah.
How was that? Claudia looks happy. Maybe you've done this sort of thing before, like focusing. I do focusing sessions fairly often. I find it very, very helpful and sometimes surprising. Any wisdom in your body, or was it that somatic stuff? Maybe it's all bullshit. What?
I have to say, it was at some point it was almost unbearable. There was a feeling of it was in my belly, around the area of the solar plexus, and the words that I can use to describe it is anticipation, excitement, fear, calling, invitation, vocation. But but the invitation is to really, really understand exactly what it is that wants to come out. That was really what I felt, and as I say, at one point it was really kind of powerful.
Yeah, good. Surprisingly so. Sometimes, if you had a particular somatic marker, so that's like a particular sensational part of the body, then that's something you can tune into. Like, hey, should I take this job? Hey, going to the solar plexus for you, maybe like, hey, is this the right business partner? And actually using that as a checkpoint for future decisions that may be around purpose.
Yeah.
And again, this was a brief. I'm giving you guys today. I'm not trying to solve your purpose problem today. I'm giving you the tools so you can solve it yourself. Does that make sense? And we'll recap all the tools at the end, and you'll get sent the handout with all the questions as well. Someone private messaged me saying, what was the homework? The homework was to write your own obituary, or to write a love poem to life. That's also a nice one to do. If you're a bit raw after this, the love poem to life can be very good. Yeah, that's one way of thinking about this. It doesn't have to be like death and intensity. It can be like loving and living fully. Yeah. Cool. Still with me? Not completely burnt you out yet. This is a bit of a boot camp. It's a more intense pace than is ideal, I would say. So yeah, hopefully you're still getting value. All right, so I am going to put some questions in the chat, and I want you to copy paste these onto your desktop, maybe to a Word document or anything else. Okay. Copy paste. Come on. Okay, maybe it won't let me do it all in one go because there's too many of them. Yeah, that's it. So please copy paste these. You will get sent this as a handout, but for the next exercise, you're going to need them on your desktop. This is the last sort of big exercise thing we'll do. And I would suggest we do these with a partner in a fairly cognitive way. What do I mean by that? So talk about them. So this isn't like deep feeling in. This is a bit more chatty. We're in the last half hour, a little bit more like you'd talk at the pub. Does that make sense? So who's a depth junkie here? Depth junkies, wave your hand. Stop it, okay? It's not good for you or your partner, depth junkies. So jokes are allowed, cynics are allowed. You can't possibly get through all those questions. Pick one or two. You might say, let's give you 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, let's say 5 minutes a piece. Pick the question for your 5 minutes. Maximum 2, but 1 is good. Your partner can coach you. No advice, okay? No telling people what to do. But if they want to coach you, that's okay. But you're being served for 5 minutes, then we swap. The partner's being served for the other 5 minutes. pick the questions. Well, I might say, you know what? I think passion is what I've got to tune into. We haven't worked much of that today. So let's work a bit with passion, and let's just go with the question, what do I most love? And then just chat shit for 5 minutes. Makes sense? This isn't like deep inquiry. We're coming out of the U now. Just chat about it, a bit more chitty chat. Sometimes by taking the pressure off, great ideas come. Does that make sense? Like when you're on holiday and you relax and you go, oh yeah, I could do that. You have all these great work ideas, you know? So we're going to take the pressure off, keep it casual, and 5 minutes each way. Give me a thumbs up if that's clear as an exercise. So you should have values questions, contribution questions, passion questions, strengths questions. We've worked with all of these things today, actually, some more than others. And again, this could be 3 months of work. You could take one of these questions every day and talk to a friend about it. You know, what would that be, like about a month's worth of work? Yeah. Cool. Or dance about it every week at Fire Rhythms, you know. Cool. So 10 minutes with a partner to keep your own time. After 5 minutes.
Mark, can you put me back? Mark, can you put me back on video?
Sure. Thank you for asking.
So I can see the people and they can see me.
There you go. Try that now. Okay, let's do breakout rooms. I like doing lots of breakout rooms. It's far more interesting than just listening to me talk, isn't it? All right, 10 minutes, off you go, or stay here if you're out of juice and you just want to chill with me for 10 minutes. Yeah. So how was that? You get stuck into those questions a little bit. Anyone make the mistake of trying to do all of them? What was your favorite question? Unmute yourself. We're kind of coming out now, so we'll keep it chill.
Who do you envy?
What's that? Who do you envy? That's an interesting one, isn't it? You know, a lot of jealousy we see. I think, you know, I used to find myself like jealous of people in first class when I walked through first class. I'd have this like class hatred would come up, you know. And then I realized, oh, I want to be in first class. That's all it is. I just want to be there. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe stop hating those people, you know. Who do you envy? Good one. What was another question?
Yeah, I was Selwyn's partner and I chose the same question. So we had a really good, I felt I had a really good diving into that. And what I took from that, and I really appreciate Selwyn for that gift, is saying, success is saying, I'm here, that's what I do. And that's enough. If I can use that as my purpose, then I'm done. That's it. It's just presence. I'm here, that's what I do. Enough.
Careful. It's a great get out clause. I mean, on one level, you're absolutely right, right? I identify as pure awareness, everything is fine, children are starving, politicians are lying, shit's happening. It's pure awareness, it's all great.
No, that's not what I meant at all.
What did you mean? I don't get it.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, right. You're right. Because I left out some very important context that in my mind, I self-pity myself a lot for envying other people's success. And what I need to do, if I really want to stay in my purpose, is to just say, I'm here for you, not just, I'm not here for myself. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. This is my presence. I'm here. And I'm not allowing myself to spiral down with all this kind of like envious or self-pity thoughts.
Okay, gotcha. I hear you now. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there was a nice vibe to it. So, okay, good. Someone else.
I really enjoyed the question of what my older self would say to me, the wisdom that they would offer me. And one of the parts about that was like, everything definitely turned out all right, because here I am, this older self, you know, with wisdom to offer. So one of the things I have to offer is, you know, it's going to be fine. And here's some ways to help it be fine. It was lovely.
Cool. By the way, these questions took us 6 months to gather. I asked at least 50 purpose coaches, including some of the world's expert. I read about 50 books on purpose. So this questions list is like distilled like super whiskey. Yeah. It was my obsession for about a year. Another question? Any other good ones that hit you today?
I think the one that got me the most was the what pisses you off.
Right. Notice how any emotion can lead us to purpose. What breaks your heart? What makes you sad? What do you most fear? Often we most fear our purpose, right? That's a very interesting one. What do you most fear? You have to go towards that which you're most afraid of. Yeah. And what pisses you off? Anger as a sign of purpose. Like, I was getting really pissed off a few years back about modern yoga. If those of you who followed me on Facebook at the time, it was like about 2 years just ranting about yoga and really angry about it and fucking slagging off yogis. And then at a certain point I went, why am I? And my friends were like, Mark, we get it, but calm down. It's just yoga. And I'm like, no, it really matters. It's like the core somatic practice of the West now. And I realized I was so angry because it really mattered to me that the most popular somatic practice had become degraded. And after that, I produced something called Embodied Yoga Principles, which was a whole system. But I had to be pissed off for 2 years until I realized I needed to do that. I'm kind of slow to get the message, you know? So any emotion can lead to purpose. They're all signposts. Particularly if they're like inappropriately strong. That's what you're looking out for. Your friend's like, dude, easy, you know? Cool. Okay, we're moving towards wrap up now then. So those questions you can take away. Let's just go through what we've done today. So I'll put it in the chat. You can take this away. This won't be on your handout. So tools we've looked at. Why you're not on purpose, that itself is a good challenge. And what I was really teaching you there was just to take responsibility for your own life, right? Like your life, it's your responsibility, no one else's. Not to use excuses because we've all had a rough time. The pain of an unlived life, practice in that. Strengths work, loads of practices in that. Psychometrics, asking a friend, coaching questions. The death meditation, which could be walking through a graveyard, it could be more formal, could be just being around COVID right now. The body listening, again, you could open that up into an hour-long practice. Most focusing sessions are an hour. Coaching questions, loads of that. Last one is to recap what was said earlier about the people you're around. So being around other people who are interested in purpose, who are living lives on purpose, or at least pursuing it, at least curious about it. Rather than people who you otherwise you what's the word you what was Clement Attlee, you try to appease Hitler, you know, you all agree like, you don't call me on my shit, I won't call you on yours.
Accommodating.
Yeah, accommodate in a kind of a bad way. You know, you can have a little group of friends and it's like, well, let's all just get drunk together, huh? Let's try not to talk about anything meaningful. You know, we didn't talk about risks of purpose. I mentioned burnout. That's a real risk of purpose. Obsession is another risk. I mean, would you say I'm likely to be an easy person to be married to? Would you say I'm likely to be an easy person to work with even? Purpose can be quite destructive to relationships if you're not careful. It can support them, but you have to be careful with it. And to your health. A lot of people have, you look at the private lives and the health of great men, great women, you know, whether that's Gandhi or Churchill or whoever, they've got some shit going on. So purpose comes with a warning label, I would say. You know, this is a mixed blessing. And yeah, resources. I mentioned some books. I've got a few more here I can hold up. Mentioned that one. That's Okay. The Work We Were Born to Do, Nick Williams. It's kind of more of a spiritual American style. If you want like funky and cool, Do Cool Shit. It's quite fun. Do Cool Shit by Nick Agrawal, Agrawl. Let Your Life Speak. That's another sort of American spiritually one, a bit Christian almost. Another fun one, Screw Work, Let's Play by John Williams. That's more of a fun one about what you love and doing what you love for a living. A bit more kind of funky cool. Jamie Catto's book is very good as well, if you know Jamie Catto. Haven't got a copy of it here. Jamie's book's good. There's loads. If you look up like life purpose, there's a million TED Talks, it's a million books. Personally, I would say more important than those is a practice. So what's one thing that we've done today that you could practice regularly? Now, you might not want to do a death meditation every single day, right? But even once a week would be helpful. So can you write in the chat one thing that you could practice? A body listening meditation every morning wouldn't be a bad way to start the day for 10 minutes, would it? The coaching questions with a partner. If there's been someone here that you've had a particularly good experience partnering, please feel free to send each other private messages now. Do you know how to send a private message? You click on someone's name on their screen, the double dots. If you go to gallery view, you can send a message. Please don't do it with any nefarious purposes though. So we're not hitting on each other or trying to do business with each other. Okay, this is you to swap email or phone number if you want to make a coaching call regularly with each other, have a buddy for this kind of thing. Okay. So I'm not going to facilitate this. I'm not going to do an email circular, but if you want to do it now, you've got 6 minutes to swap details. You don't have to. Some people are much more self-starting. Okay, what did you like? Journaling, yeah, journaling's another way. Body listening, repeating the question. Remember that one? You can do that yourself, but it's way better to do it with a partner. Don't always do the most hardcore one as a practice. Sometimes something's hardcore. It's not a regular thing. It's like a, you know, if I do death meditation every 2 months, that's enough, you know. Coaching questions, yeah, you can really get some juice out of them. They're really, I'm proud of those questions. And I said I didn't come up with all of them. I came up with less than a quarter, actually. They're gathered. I have a very good network of trainers. One thing I'm very lucky to have is this very good network, so I can gather things from different trainers. Steal them all. You will be sent the questions afterwards on this handout that we've got with that graph. Any more questions on resources? Like where to find this, where to do that. We might release the full purpose black belt course in a few months as like a standalone online course. So you'll be sent, I'm sure you'll be on my email list after this if you bought this. And we've got other courses coming up. The main one is if you're a coach or a trainer, have a look at the Foundations of Embodiment certification. It's called the FEC course because it amuses me. Let me get that up for you. So there's 2 things apart for you. One is our general events calendar. You'll see a whole load of events on there. Click on that and have a look at them. If you've enjoyed this, you might enjoy some of them. I don't want to hard sell you anything after a course like this, but you know, have a look at them. And FEC is the one if you want to go much deeper into the body work we do. That's a bit special, and it's a much longer course. It's a proper solid course. It's not just a one-off thing. So we do one-off things like this, but you know, 12-week course is a whole different fish. And just the Embodied Facilitator.com, we have a few places on that because we had a few dropouts. We filled up, and then because of COVID, we had dropouts. That starts in May, like FEC actually starts with the same thing as FEC, but then we have actual get-togethers starting in July. So hopefully, you know, that will go ahead properly. And if it doesn't, then we can give you a refund. So we've got so no risk. So yeah, they're the 3 courses I recommend. Many of you listen to my podcast. I think that has probably got some stuff around meaning on. You follow me on social media, Instagram and Facebook if you're not easily offended. This was quite a yang course. My courses are normally a bit more balanced and I often have a co-trainer. This is sort of boot camp, so it's quite like raw, but they're not normally quite so raw. How are you doing right now? I'd like to hear one word from everyone. I'm going to unmute you, just sort of what you're leaving with, how you are. We don't have time for a speech. So David, you're up first. One word.
Fired up. Compounded.
Thank you. Claudia.
Exhausted.
Okay.
Tired.
Full on. Actually, just before I forget, self-care. After this, don't make any big decisions with partners or money or anything like that. Don't quit your day job until you've slept on it for a couple of nights, okay? You may well be tired from this. This was a full-on 3 hours, very full-on. So really take care of yourselves tonight. Marion.
Spiced up.
Spiced. Katie.
Tired, but also inspired.
Thank you. Selwyn, one word.
Much better, thank you.
One word.
3 words. Better.
Thank you. Andy. I can't unmute you. Try again.
Yeah, inspired.
Inspired. Thank you. Shelley.
Centered.
I'll unmute you so that way you don't have to. We don't have to unmute each other. Isabel.
Happy.
Ariel.
Good. Hungry.
Hungry. Yeah, it's time for dinner here. Kevin.
Grateful.
Robert. I can't unmute you. Try and unmute yourself.
Yeah, wholehearted.
Valerie.
Now finally just step forward. This is what I really think now and
It's a
feel.
long word, but I like that. I like what's in it. Thanks, Valerie. Sarah.
Calm.
Again?
Calm.
Calm. I thought you said home. Home would be a lovely way to talk about purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, what's the home of your activity? Calm. Calm is good. Tanya.
Energized.
Energized. Yeah, purpose often is energizing. Lisa.
Motivated.
Okay. There we are. People ask me, where do I get my discipline from? I don't have any discipline. I have purpose. It's much more motivating than discipline. Fucking undisciplined as hell. Okay. So let's look at the screen, see who's here. This has been quite an intimate little group, actually. I quite like the size of it. It's been perfect for this work. I hope I haven't brutalized you too badly. So do take good care of yourselves. It was a risk doing a boot camp in the middle of a lockdown. So have a good rest. Thanking everyone for coming, maybe just with your eyes, by looking at them, maybe bopping them on the nose, each one. Nice group, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully you're all unmuted. Let me unmute everyone. We have a little ritual for most of my online workshops now, which is to say thank you in your first language or goodbye, and then we will be officially over. That will be the end of the session. You can go back to your lives. So 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody.
Merci beaucoup.
Goodbye. Пока-пока.
Bye.
See you again.
Bye.
Bugger off. Go live your purpose.
Yeah.
See you guys. Good session.
See you. Thank you.
Bye.
Good one. Bye. Nice to see you, Shelley.
Nice to see you too, Mark. Bye-bye.
Bye. Time to go. It's over.